Hey everyone, and welcome back to our daily card series. I don't dare to say daily because we kind of left out the weekend, but I promise we'll do better and we're trying to get daily back. I'm here again with JmJWilson, who is one of our Team Artusa content creators. He's a very good player, and welcome back, Wilson.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Let's start right in. We have a lot of cards to discuss because the weekend was long and reveals were there were a lot of reveals. And the first one is actually that's pretty small there. Let me put it up here. It's the Rivality Bank. One of my favorites because I like the horde gameplay and I like playing a lot with profit. And it gives you profit one, and I quickly summarize the text for you. You can look at the top card and basically look at how many crowns you have. You can look at that amount of cards. And then you can pick one card to play, like any one of these 9 cards, but the farther the card is back in your deck, the more you pay for it. For example, if you take the first one, it's free. But if you have the 9th distance, it's 8 crowns, as far as I know it. Mm-hmm. It's really good if you need to look up for the remaining cards, because you can adapt to the situation. It's not like a fixed amount of value. You can actually say, okay, I'm leaving 2 crowns here, but take this card instead of this one. So it gives you more flexibility than, for example, Last Wish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not sure how competitive it is, but the design on it's really cool. A lot of text, but it accomplishes something that's pretty neat.
Awesome. That is Tunnel Drill.
Yeah. Tunnel Drill is 5 power, 6 provisions, profit 1, and you can pay 3 crowns to destroy an artifact. And so I think this card is maybe the best artifact removal in the game as it's printed like this, because it's a complete blowout against decks that play multiple artifacts. You get that recurring benefit of doing it repeatedly over time. And also one of the advantages is that you don't have to do it immediately in response to an artifact. You can play this on board and then as a proactive play, and then use its artifact removal effect later. So I just think it's really good. It's not even bad rate if you just play it as a 6 for 6. It's not even that bad.
Yeah, and if you think of the other removal cards, like what you need to sacrifice point-wise for them, and getting just 6 points for that with the option to destroy multiple, amazing. I like it.
Yeah, great card.
Awesome. Swindle. There we go. It's another crime. Profit a random amount between 4 and 6. Yeah, I mean, worst case you play 4 for 4. Best case you play 6 for 4, and you have the crime synergy. So I don't know, I think it's not the best card, but if you can if you play with crimes and you like to gamble and you play a lot of profits, then this is definitely a good fit, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's unfortunately a competitive card because it does have that random element to it where sometimes you're going to get a 6 for 4 that doesn't put any interactable points on the board. So I think it is a pretty good card. It's a 4 provision card with upside, so that's always a good thing to play. I really don't like the randomness, but
what I really don't like is the low tempo aspect, because you play it without getting any tempo at all. So it's if you play this in round 1, you probably have a problem, except you already have the spenders on the board to immediately utilize those crowns, with the fee option. But if you don't have any spenders on the board, then this is really hard to play.
It could be awkward to fit in.
Yeah. Cool, yeah. Next one. Slender.
Yeah, so it's a 4 provision card with profit 3, and you give an enemy unit bounty. So I think the bounty mechanic is kind of weak in general because of the coin maximum. So even if you, especially a card like this where you're already getting some crowns and no points, you're putting 3 crowns in your bank. And then if you get you want to, because ideally you want to play this on a unit that you're going to destroy anyway. So you're getting some upside to it, but you have some maximum amount of crowns in your bank. So the upside is capped on what you can get off of this. And then also it's a card that you don't really want to play in round 3 because it's a 4 provision card. So some of the cards that synergize with it that help you destroy stuff are expensive. And so you never really want to be playing this and them in the same round. So I think this is an awkward card. And I think the bounty mechanic in general is just pretty awkward.
Yeah, let's see how the bounty will shape up and then decide. It's if you can make the bounty worth it, then nice, but I was just thinking if you already have spenders on the board, which you can use the profit free, for example, to destroy then the bounty unit, whatever. But even then, it's you don't get a lot from it. So let's see. This one is This one is amazing. Just art-wise. It's Sir Skewertooth, and he is a 5 for 8 with Intimidate 2 and Tribute 4 gain immune. And Intimidate 2 means that every time you play a crime, this boosts by 2. So if you play 2 crime cards, he's already better than his provision costs. I'm not sure about the gain immune. It really depends on your matchup, I guess. But I'm not sure if it's worth it to give it immune because it's already at 5. So if it's the only card that would be targeted by high point removal, then I think like the immune would maybe be worth it. But otherwise, playing 4 crowns for not being able to touch it, I'm not sure, because the other targets that you can like touch, so to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like the immune tag is kind of always tricky, especially with some of the things we've seen where, I don't know, maybe like a low unit type deck, which is kind of like frustrating to play against. And then if you add an immune engine on top of that, I don't think it's like very strong because you're paying a ton for it. You're playing basically like a 5.12 provision card in order to gain that immunity. But it could, even if it's not like highly competitive, it could be the type of card that's just frustrating in general to play against. So, I mean, I'm not sure. Standalone, it looks like a fairly standard engine. The 5.8 provision engines kind of all play for around this value over time. And it plays into Tull removal, so that kind of like caps the upside of getting 2 points a turn possibly. And you also have to play a crime every turn, which you don't want to play too many of those. So I think as a 5 for 8, it's like fairly standard, but the immunity is I don't know. It might lead to some uninteractive gameplay. I'm not sure.
Let's see. Okay, the next one is Shakedown.
Yeah, Shakedown is 5 provision, profit 3, and you boost an allied unit by 3. So this is basically like the inverse of the dip in the Pontar that was revealed back on the very first day, I think. Yeah, and I think it's basically pretty standard, 6 points, 5 provisions. It's worse than the Pontar probably because I think the boost is worse than damage in general. But it's just a fair card. 6 points, 5 provisions, gets you profit that you can use on your spenders. Seems fair to me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, also if you play Dip in the Bonta, then you may want to include this as well. Like if you really play a crime synergy deck, so it's good to have 2 6 for 5, so to say, not only Dip in the Bonta. So I actually really like it. Mm-hmm. Then, now we are going to the priest, like back to the priest. This is one of the synergy cards we actually waited for. It's a 10 for 6, but it's only a 10 for 6 if you have Fires and Zealots on the board, because it will damage self by 6 and reduce the damage by 1 for every of the Zealots you have. So if you already swarmed, you can play this. But, and this is important because if you already have the Fires 1 spenders on there, which you can spawn Zealots, for example, then you can actually wait with the crown spendings and just trigger them, like spend a lot of crowns in the same round before you want to play this. So the enemy, for example, doesn't remove your Zealots with, I don't know, removal cards. Then you can get it up for sure.
Yeah, this card seems alright to me. I mean, we've seen conditional cards like this, like Yuda. But it has a different condition, but it's a conditional card that plays like well above its provision cost, and it's seen some competitive play, and Shinmiri loves that card. So I think this could definitely find a place in the decks that swarm the board with Zealots. Yeah. We'll see how good those end up being, but this would be a card that would probably go in it.
Yeah, I think it's an auto-include probably into this kind of decks. It's just about like how does the archetype really fit into the final meta, so to say. Yep. Okay. Then we have the Oxen Naturalist.
Yeah, 3 points, profit 2, and your fee ability for 1 is to give a unit vitality for 1 turn. So since this is on your own turn, vitality triggers at turn end, and the opponent can't like deny it. It's not like a engine per se. It's basically a boost. But the downside is that you can't, since it's not a boost, you can't put like multiple vitalities onto one unit to get the boost on that same turn. That would then make it into like an engine. So you'd have to spread out the vitality if you want to use this multiple times. But in general, this card is 5 points, 5 provisions. The vitality doesn't seem to have much synergy in this faction.
But isn't this dual faction?
Is it? I don't think so with the profit mechanic.
That's true, actually. Yeah, I was just thinking like, it doesn't make sense. Like, if it would be a dual faction mechanic in Northern Realms, this could be quite interesting. I was a bit like, intrigued about it because of, like I heard like Oxen for it, and I was like, Oxen for Naturalist, that could be Northern Realms card, right? Because then it would make sense with like giving like LD and Vitality on turn end with like the Meave builds, for example, treat them infantry. But just within Syndicate, we haven't seen like a lot of Vitality combos, so yeah, I think there are better ways to get you to transfer your crowns into actually coins now. Bertha said so far, said it's now coins, not crowns.
Yeah.
So, and I think there are better engines to transfer your coins into points. There we go.
Yeah. One of the upsides on a card like this is that it's fee 1, which say you have like 1 leftover coin in your bank. Then you have something to spend it on, but there might even be better ways to spend just exactly 1 coin.
Yeah, I think so.
In the set. We'll see.
Let's see. Oh, this is one small. Let me make it big. It's a Novigrad Justice. It's another crime. Play bronze unit from a deck. If it's a dwarf, spawn and summon its copy on the same row. And this is dual faction, I think, with Squirtel. And this card is amazing. I like this so much because this enables so many engine decks to suddenly become viable, which they weren't before, especially if you play like dwarf engine decks. Like, we saw so many dwarfs to power them up. And I'm not even talking about crime decks. I just mean this card in Squirtel, for example. Imagine you just get 2 dwarf not skirmishers, like mercenaries out like at the beginning, and then like there's so much power you can do with this. I love it.
Yeah, and this is one of the best cards of the set. Even if you play, I think maybe it's the next card to come up, but there's the Syndicate Dwarf that's also cross-faction, and it's 5 points, 5 provisions with a shield. I mean, even if you play that, it thins 1 card and it plays as 10 points for 11 provision, 2 dwarf tags with shields in play. That's just a really great return.
However, yeah, exactly, yeah. What can you say? It's amazing.
Yeah, great card.
Okay, there we go. Nathaniel Apostoli.
Yeah, 5.7 provisions, and whenever it gets a boost, it gives bleeding to a random enemy unit for 2 turns. And so this is kind of comparable return to something like Herald Houndsnout, where that condition is you have to damage one of the skulls. In this case, you have to boost this guy, and then instead of getting damage, you get bleed, which is weaker, of course. And so I really don't know how to evaluate this card. You'd have to trigger its boost once, makes it effectively like even on your return, and then if you boost it more than that, you're getting like positive return. But it's random, so it could hit something like I said, one of Harold's skulls, and then you're actually like the bleeding is negative points because you're killing a unit that wants to die anyway. So I'm not really sure how to evaluate this card. The random element of it makes it tricky.
Yeah, but on the other hand, like you can get a lot of points if you really play around the mechanics, but then it becomes a key card to removal. We just talked about the Oxen for the Naturalist. He, for example, would fit with Nathaniel. I'm not sure like how much other synergies are in there. So
yeah, we'll have to see what kind of other synergies get printed.
Yes. Kurt, a witch hunter. 4 for 8. Intimidate. Oh, and he has like a choice. He has deploy melee lock unit or deploy ranged purify unit, and that is pretty good. Like you had this toggle cards before with old like Morven and stuff, for example. But actually, the option to purify or lock, I think, is pretty good. And with the intimidate deck, it makes you can get a bit more points if you play crimes. I'm not sure if the 4 for 8 like how like viable that is, but I really like the choice, and I think choice alone is quite powerful.
Yeah, I think this card is okay. I mean, it looks like the only faction lock they have, so maybe a card that sees play just for that reason. If you need help dealing with some engines or things, the rate is kind of bad at 4 for 8 provisions. The intimidate might help boost that up a little bit. But I'm not sure. We've seen cards like this in the past that haven't seen play. Like it's sort of similar to Aguara, which instead of purifying, it can unlock, which is worse, of course. And then cards like Queen of the Night and Monsters, which can purify, and then instead of getting lock, it has a points option. And those cards haven't seen play really. I think this card's a little bit better than them, and just for the fact that it's like basically probably the best lock option this faction has, it might see some play.
Yeah, I'm also interested in like what the Witch Hunter synergy is, because if there are cards that like use Witch Hunters actually as attack, then this may become even better as well. So
Yeah, of course.
Oh god, how can you pronounce it? Viri and Alidia, I think.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So it's 5 points and 9 provisions and profit 1, so 6 for 9 instantly. And it's an order ability that doesn't cost you anything of damage unit by 1. And if you have 6 crowns, or 6 coins rather, you can damage by 2 instead. So like the immediate comparison to this is things like Imlereth, which has a different condition. Instead of Horde 6, you have to have the highest unit. And those cards have, and like, I think that card's biggest problem is that you don't really have like an engine heavy deck in monsters, so you play it on the board, it just gets removed or lock instantly because it's your only real payoff for playing engines. But I think in general, like a card like this in an engine heavy deck would be like played in straight away, because it gives you damage, which is good, and it gives you pretty good rate on return.
Yeah, it's another engine, so the more engines, the better. Okay, Horst Borsodi. This is one of the Borsodi brothers which interact with each other. He's a 4/7, profit 2. And if the other Borsodi brother, Erwald, is in your graveyard, this card has 2 more profit. So if you actually play both of them, you get more coin. And the good thing about him is a fee, a ranged fee, and boosts an L unit by 2. So it converts 1/1 crowns into points again, but he plays as a kind of like a 6/7, and if you have the brother, like, it plays for 2 more. So I think it's a good spender to have if you play like the crown stack, so to say. Yeah, I think he's probably the best card, but also he's good. Like he's not bad. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, like if as you'll see with like the brother card, this card is well good enough to play to synergize with his brother.
Yeah. Then we have sadly not the other Borsodi brother because we just mixed the cards into this, but we actually have Harald Court. Not Harald.
Yeah, 2 points and 7 provisions, and it has a weird deploy ability to boost itself by 0. But the boost amount increases for each special card you've played throughout the game. So in general, I think this card is like pretty weak. You have to play a lot of special cards to get the return on it, which special cards are usually like weaker, even though the crimes we've seen, some of them are like relatively strong because of how they interact with coins. But this card plays hard into removal or reset value, like Peter Sargwynleave in Nilfgaard. And you can't play it in round 1 or 2, really. It's basically only a round 3 card. So I don't think it's very strong.
Yeah, let's see. What have we here? Halfling Safecracker, another bronze card. 3/5, profit 1. Deploy, boost self for each crime in your hand. So all these cards we just see are all around like the crime archetype. This one is with the crowns, it's 4/5, like 4/5. And so if you have at least 2 crime cards, then he's already worth it. He's a bit like Doppler with less ceiling, so to say. I don't know how many of them you want to play because you probably want to play only. Well, it depends how much, like what else is in your crime deck because you can't play full crime, so to say. But I think it's a decent bronze card if you play crimes.
Yeah, it seems like it's an okay return, depending on how many playable crimes you actually want in your hand.
Next one is Graydon.
Yeah, so he's a 3 points and 9 provisions. His deploy effect is to destroy an enemy unit with the bounty tag. You can also pay 5 crowns to boost self, or you can tribute 5 crowns rather, to boost self by that unit's base power instead. So I don't see really the tribute effect ever really being used. I mean, because if you're destroying a 6-point card, you'd have to destroy a card that's 6 points or higher. You'd have to have at least 5 coins in your bank already to be able to even trigger the tribute effect. And then you also have to be mindful of like maxing out your bank. So I'm not sure the tribute effect ever really gets used that often. But it can sometimes be free upside. But in general, I think that most things that interact with the bounty mechanic, I feel like they're not going to be as strong. But I mean, it always depends with how many synergy cards and how many cards you already want to be running in your deck that give bounty.
And maybe this can be like a turnaround in like if you're playing against Woodland and this is like your last card. Well, maybe. But it shouldn't be your last card because you don't get your bounty, so it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, it's an awkward card to play.
Fireswan's Scribe. Whenever you spawn, one or more units gain 1 crown. So it also cheap at 4, boosts self by 2. So it gives it a bit more as well ability, but it's really bad trade-off because you play 4 crowns for 2 points. But like just the range ability, I think is okay-ish because you could, for example, have like spawn people immediately after you play this card when you have the crowns, so you can already get the payoff right there. Depends like how much other engines you have, because this will remove pretty quickly, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, I think this card probably fits in well with the like Firesworn Swarm archetype. Mm-hmm.
Next one, Faircoat the Sculptor.
Yeah, so 2 points and does it say 8 or 9 provisions? I think 9,
it's
right?
9.
Yeah, deploy effect to play a crime from your deck. So this fits in exactly in line with all of the other 2 for 9 tutors, like Menno Cohorn, for example. Yeah, it seems fair. Yeah. They get their own version.
Fav, everything. Like Syndicate has now one of those as well.
Yep. Every faction has one.
Yes. Excommunication. It's a special card. Banish an allied unit, then play the top card from your deck for 6 provisions. So you look up the top card of your deck and play it. Since you play Firesworn, you could like just banish one of the Zealots for 2. So this actually plays for 8 to get like the top card from your deck. If you already finned like in 1-3, this may see some play, but you don't. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much you actually can control as in Syndicate what the top card is. In Nilfgaard, for example, this would be better because you know what the top card is, for example. But in Syndicate, I'm not sure. It's like it feels a bit random to me.
Yeah, I mean it's like because it's sort of you can use it and it's 6 provisions, so it's an awkward range. So maybe you don't want to play it in round 1, and in round 1 it's kind of random what it pulls. So you might actually play a good card. Yeah. So I don't know. It seems a little clumsy.
The other Bosori brother, Ewald.
Yeah, so just like his brother, 4 for 7, profit 2. And if the other brother is in the graveyard, you get an additional profit by 2, so profit 4. And then his fee ability is to damage an enemy unit by 2. I think this card is nuts. Like, damage is really good. It is like a NR engine without the order, so It has Zeal. So you don't even have to go first in the round to really get the upside for it, and you can keep using it over and over again as long as you have coins to spend. I think this card is amazing.
If you run other removal as well, it's like a better Krachtik. You can just like remove anything as long as you have crowns and this is on the board.
Yeah, I think it's great. This card's amazing.
Then we have Damnation. Special cards for 9 provision. Damage free adjacent enemy units by 2, and death blow for every unit destroyed. Spawn a Firesworn Zealot on the opposite row. So just like if you get it off with everything, this is amazing because you get your synergy with the Zealots, you get a lot of points on the board. But the question is, how many can you actually kill? Like, how good can you set up? Because you need 3 adjacent enemies with at least like a minimum, like or maximum 2 health. So the setup is already kind of like problematic because especially if the enemy knows what you're up to, like you're playing Firesworns, he may want to avoid getting stuff down to 2, and especially then not playing it next to each other. So I'm not sure how much this card will get its return value. If you have already other synergy cards like every time something spawns, like boost it, or every time something spawns, get a crown, then this gets even better. So I think it's a solid inclusion in the stacks, but it will be heavily played around.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Then we have the Cursed Blacksmith.
Yeah, it's 4 power, profit 1, and 5 provisions, and its fee for 1 is boost an allied unit by 1. So this is just basically a different version of the guy we saw earlier that gave vitality instead.
Yeah,
5 for 5.
It's funny because it's like it has 1 more power, but boosts immediately. So if there's no vitality synergy there, I don't see why I wouldn't play him, actually.
Yeah, I mean, they're 5 for 5 cards, which they're tough to see play regardless, so we'll see.
Cleaver's Muzzle. Oh, that's the... there we go. That's the dwarf we talked about.
This is the guy,
3 for 5 with a shield. Pretty decent card.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good.
5 for 5 for 5 provision with shield. Nice.
Yeah, good synergy with Novigrad Justice.
Yeah. I think I'm not sure if this is a dual faction card.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
With
because
Squirtle.
then it even makes more sense because you can Squirtle, for example, get even more return of investment on the dwarf tag. So
It's really hard to remove, so you can get your
Yes.
or your volunteers out really easily.
pretty good. I think it's your turn. You may talk about Cleaver, the leader.
Cleaver, yeah, it's a leader, and it has 15 provisions bonus, and its ability is to play a special card from your deck with cost 9 or lower, and you can increase that for every 2 crimes that are in your starting deck. And so these leaders historically have been kind of weak, things like Calvite, Dana, and then you also have some of the elements of like Ardle in there, where you can increase this by playing certain conditional cards in your deck. And play. I think this is even worse than Dana probably because you have to play a special card. You don't have the option of playing a unit, and then you also have to play like in order to get like the really high-powered specials that you want. You have to play a lot of crimes, which may or may not be good. We're not sure how many playable crimes there really are. And then if you draw that high provision special card, now you have to play this for really low value.
Exactly.
So you're kind of punished for drawing well, which feels
Yes.
bad.
It's a bit strange again. Like, well, let's see. And the last one is Seiza, a Wilson. He's a dwarf. Deploy, trigger the profit abilities of adjacent units. Fee free, boost an L unit by 2. So he has a very shitty fee, so to say, because they're just like way better trade-offs between coins and points. If you have good profit abilities, let's say, which are 3 or higher, and you can play them next to each other, then this becomes really good. But if you just work with like 1 or 2 profit abilities, then he's just like maybe an 8 for 8. So I'm not too sure what to do with him. If you're really playing profit, then this may work off. But if not, then I don't know. Mediocre, probably.
Yeah, like some of their cards, it's really highly synergistic, so it depends on other cards that you want to play that have probably a high profit and also some ability that you want to actually use on top of that profit.
Exactly. That's hard. Anyway. Okay, this is it. We really rushed through all the cards. I'm sorry again. Like, now we caught up. Now we can take more times about the newly leaked cards tomorrow, and then we talk a bit more about them, how they can work out. At least you saw them now. You got some additional thoughts, and subscribe if you want to see the remaining card discussions for tomorrow. And then we will be back tomorrow. I promise. So see you tomorrow, and thanks, Wilson, for stepping in.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Then see you guys. Bye.